Jim, crypto news and analysis here, August 7. What is going on with the markets today? Is the market bottomed? And by the way, my background, I'm just doing my fucking laundry and I'm making this shit before I sleep. And this white stuff, don't worry, this is chalk. I was doing some lifting stuff earlier, and now I got to make this crypto video before I go to fucking sleep. So let's look at the market here. Bitcoin currently, my prediction was right, I suppose, where I was saying around here, if we close below this, then it's probably going to go straight to 112K. And now it has hit 112K. What is next? Well, first of all, we got a nice trade with this. And now what I expect is that there'll probably be a short-term bounce to retest these EMAs at around 115K. And then it's going to be a pretty choppy next week. Like, I don't expect like a V-shaped recovery on this. I mean, it could. If there is a V-shaped recovery, then Bitcoin will just, it will probably do that and then just go fucking higher. Let's say that is within the realm of possibilities, but the most possible outcome is that we're going to retest 115K in the coming days. So it's going to go higher in the short term, and then it's probably going to chop around, form a base higher, and then go later higher in the Q4. So I'm expecting a pretty choppy next couple days. It's going to be very low volatility, especially after all of this. So even when we see the candles, they are losing their momentum, and now we're seeing a little bit of green and recovery here. So yeah, it's pretty much most of the downside is over. That's not to say that this will be the final bottom. It still has a little bit more room to around 110K, and liquidation heat maps also support this, where there's some liquidations to be cleared out, 107K, 110K. And if we also look at the EMAs, well, if we want to retest it on the weekly, on the weekly EMA, 109K is the level to retest if they wanted to test it. But the thing is that Bitcoin's also lost the daily bands. So that also supports a hypothesis that Bitcoin's probably going to be pretty choppy. It does have to eventually retest his daily bands at some point, so around 116K. But when it does it, it's probably going to chop around a bit. It's not going to be as bullish as this whole session is. You know, Bitcoin hasn't really broke the daily bands for a really long time, right? Or yeah, it was around here in June. Okay, so that was 2 months ago, but that was a pretty, it was in a mean reverting state anyways. But most of the time it has been pretty nice. And even if you look at this momentum wise, well, this whole impulse is definitely a lot worse than this whole impulse from 70K to around 112K. And now we only had one impulse, and now the daily bands are crossing red, which shows that momentum is stalling. So it's pretty hypothesized to be a pretty choppy month. And that's not to say that it can't go down here. If it does go to 107K, we'll be chopping for a while. But that's my interpretation of the Bitcoin. Ethereum is a lot weaker than Bitcoin. I think Ethereum does have room to go lower as well. I mean, it could just chop around here, but there's no discernible support at 3,400. So the next level for Ethereum would be 3,100, and it will probably chop around here, form a base higher for later. Because I do think Ethereum and Bitcoin go higher later in the year because of the potential rate cuts in September and the quantitative easing by the Fed. So they're going to want to increase the liquidity, and that means a lot of crypto assets will go higher later in the year. But it's going to be a pretty choppy next month, in my own opinion, especially August. That's my interpretation of it. And Bitcoin dominance wise, yeah, Bitcoin dominance is just going to the moon. I'm expecting some sort of path like this. And alt season, what people are expecting of alt seasons, well, the alt season chart, I mean, right now there's a complete retest of all these EMAs down here, so this could be a local bottom for altcoins, and maybe there'll be a slight recovery soon, but it's probably going to be a pretty choppy next couple times. Basically, I wouldn't be surprised. Like alt season, it's not going to be here anytime soon. Momentum wise, this is such a sharp downturn, and if you look at the altcoins like Solana, I don't know. It could be bottomed here and then it goes straight to the moon. It's possible. Chart-wise, it does say that at some point. I think there were some influencers online suggesting that we have this diagonal support line. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm personally not touching that shit. Hyperliquid, yeah. Like a lot of altcoins are bottomed here, but just because they're bottom here, like if we do get the sharp recovery for Bitcoin to 115K, which I think is highly probable, then the altcoins will probably have a little bit of a relief rally. But after that relief rally, they're not going to go straight to the moon. They're going to chop around for a really, really long time. So I don't think alt season is going to come for a month or two, because momentum wise, if we wanted alt season, Bitcoin had to essentially not close here and do this move higher, retest one. Like this is what we were expecting if it was super bullish, but now that it's not really had it and the daily bands are crossing red, well, we're going to have a very, very choppy time. That is my final message here. So altcoin wise on the deck screener, there's nothing really that exciting, honestly. A lot of tokens are pretty much red on the day. There's a little bit of movement on the base meme coins. I'm not really sure why. Some things are up, some things are down. A lot of them are down. If I were to significant any sort of play, I think Zora is something to look out for. So this chart path, I think, is going to play out. Currently, it is within the order block, and if you wanted a really good entry, around 143 million is really good. I'm personally looking at this one for a swing trade at some point, because I just think the risk reward's extremely, extremely fucking good. There's a lot of attention on this too. So that's one play in the altcoin sector I would suggest. And I guess native as well. I was talking about this. This one's having a slight rally. I'm not really sure what the fuck is going on. I don't know. I think there's some influence of shilling this, but chart-wise, this one it's good compared to Ethereum, in my own opinion. I think this one is a decent one, but like I don't have like a super that much. I only have like a little bit. So let's look at some tweets. Justin, Eric Trump says to buy the Bitcoin and ETH dips. Yeah, this was earlier today at 9 a.m. I think at 9 a.m. What was the price of Bitcoin? Bitcoin was, yeah, it went a little bit lower. And when we see shit like this, Eric Trump, he was the type of person saying, oh, guys, buy ETH. And he told you guys to buy ETH at the, like fucking, yeah, he told you to buy ETH here, and then it ran all the way down to 1,500, and then now it's here where it's a little bit higher, and he's like, told you. And this guy's just so funny, where you see the really popular people saying to buy the dip, buy the dip. Like when the market's going down and it is in a bearish downtrend, you don't want to hear shit on the media that people are saying buy the dip, because that means that sentiment wise, people are still hopeful for future profits. So people are gonna long the dip, they're gonna do like 100x leverage, and it just as a whole fucking contracts for price to just keep going lower and lower, because those guys have to sell their contracts because they're like, oh my god, Eric Trump said I have to buy the dip, let's fucking go. And then there's just more and more of just long squeeze lower. And you, like, if you really want price to not fuck up like this, you want to see sentiment at its absolute pits, and people not opening longs and not having much open interest, not have shit like this where people are saying buy the dip. You want to see the whole fucking Twitter space just be absolutely devastated, which we are seeing a little bit right now. So, bro, stopped. I just want my coins to go up. Yeah, so there was some shit later or earlier, Donald Trump saying he's prepared to engage in nuclear war with Russia, emphasizing the nation's readiness for any potential conflict. By the way, this would be super bullish for Bitcoin, because if you want war, you need to print money so that you can spend on military. So this would actually be extremely, extremely bullish for Bitcoin on a technical standpoint. But the thing is that markets don't like fear. They don't like uncertainty. When markets are fearful, they will go down because they don't know what the fuck is going. Because markets are inherently irrational. They don't give a fuck about the logic, right? Because it is completely logical that war and that Donald Trump is ready to go into nuclear war with them. I mean, by the way, if nuclear war happens and everyone fucking dies, then shit with Bitcoin and money don't even fucking matter, because we'll be dead anyways. But let's say this is a controlled nuclear war where they're doing like AI robots, where the robots are shooting little mini missiles with nuclear bombs in them, then that one's a little more contained while very, very powerful. But the thing is that things like these, it increases military spending. If you want to spend more in the military, you have to print more money. So that should make the price of Bitcoin go higher because of shit like this. So this is actually very, very good from a technical standpoint. But yeah, market's fearful. They don't like that. They don't like war, so it will go down. So there's another tweet here. How much worse can it get, man? So Twitter is extremely, extremely fucking bottom of the pit sentiment. So we're starting to see people getting really, really bearish down here at the lows, and that's usually bottom signals. and I'm not calling the bottom here. I think we should be near the bottom. I still think there's another leg possibly to lower to like 108, 110K. It is possible. I will say maybe like 30% probability, but there is pretty good probability that we are bottomed here. But bottoms usually don't have V-shaped recovery. They have a pretty consolidative move with a lot of chop. Like if we think about what happened here when Bitcoin dropped from 106K all the way down to 75K, the first time it broke, well, there was a little bit of a recovery, right? And that was really fucking nice. I remember here people were pog champing like, oh my God, we are so back. And then it was just this multi-week chop downwards. It was chopping for a whole fucking month. And then only when it was finally retesting the support of the previous summer bull market, that's when everybody gave up and they capitulated down here at the bottom, and that's when everybody gave on the market that the market go higher. So currently we are having a little bit of a mini capitulation right now, and I'm not saying like this will be the V-shaped recovery. It's pretty low probability at this point, but I'm expecting some sort of a choppy bullshit like what happened around here. So it's probably going to happen, something like that. It's not going to play out the exact candlesticks, but just keep this in mind. So let's look at this one. Pump fund daily revenue lowest since May 2024. Yeah, so the on-chain is kind of dead compared to a lot of tokens. So meme coins, I just think meme coins ever since the Trump meme coin fiasco, a lot of them are just topped. I don't know if there will be another meme coin narrative. It's going to be years for us to have a meme coin super cycle again. Like currently the narrative right now is AI with the on-chain meta. I mean, if you just look at shit like Ray and like where the fuck is the ETH pullback on this, for example, and then shit like Kita, these are the new metas on-chain. But meme coins like this, it's just so extractive pump fund that at some point this is just going to be ending. So this is the final thing I want to read to you guys. This is a very good point where he's basically talking about how altcoins are kind of fucked, but very sad to realize that to make money in crypto in the past few years, you had to full port Bitcoin, top blast a coin of the month, dump when people would start to call for an alt season. Yeah, people do this shit all the time. Full porting Bitcoin was objectively the best way to outperform, but a lot of people, even though Bitcoin's at all-time highs, are down on their money because they're into altcoins and they were top blasting everything like Chill Guy and fucking I don't remember what else, but yeah, they're just trying to call the alt season. Everybody's calling the alt season. I remember like accounts, they'll be pointing out on the Bitcoin dominance like this is the time when we're finally going to have the alt season, like here or something. They're like, guys, this is the alt season. And then, oh, wait, this is the alt season. Oh, we just like they keep calling this alt season. And alt season, that was like a once in a time thing in 2021, right? 2021, it was around here. Will this ever happen again? Where it went from 62% to like 40% dominance? I don't know. Like the thing is that when everybody's expecting something to happen in the market, it's most likely not going to happen. Being a perma bear on altcoins and a Bitcoin maxi, basically. So this was in hindsight, the best thing you could have done. But the worst part for those who wanted to hit 5x or more in their portfolio is that there is no end in sight for this playbook. All institutional flows are going to Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is very, very important because retail money isn't most of the capital in the markets. It's institutional money like BlackRock, hedge funds. These are where most of the money is. Like people kept saying in Twitter, retail's coming, guys. Retail's coming. They're going to buy our meme coins. But then like, is that enough liquidity to push them higher? And the people that are going to invest into things long term, it's going to be these institutional hedge funds. They don't give a fuck about your dog coin. They care about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Mostly Bitcoin chart wise. Ethereum's chart is underperformer compared to Bitcoin. But it's important. Most of the money is going to come from the hedge funds, right? Alts pump less and dump way more because there's no cushion. Yeah, they're leveraged versions of these majors. If you're struggling in this market, don't punish yourself too much. Accept what happened, learn from it. People like James Wynn and Aguila lost 40 million and 100 million in extremely tight ranges due to a lack of patience. I don't do leverage, but from an outside perspective, there's no point using leverage on altcoins when stocks have had an incredible performance with much less downside. Yeah, altcoins are already leveraged memes or majors, so you don't need to put leverage on altcoins. It's just crazy. This is a Bitcoin cycle. I've really said how we'll never see alt season again as it used to be, but instead a select basket of coins pumps at a time. Yeah, this is important there's so many altcoins now in the market that not everything's going to pump at the same time. There's so much dilution. So it's going to be specific ones. So the market has decided shit like Ray or Kita or Tibir, like the AI coins, there's only a select amount of tokens that will go higher. No helicopter money, no true all season. Crypto Twitter is saying no all season, so there will be one. If you still have this sort of mindset, you're going to lose. Yeah, like just because there's not an alt season for a long time doesn't mean there has to be, right? Probabilistically, as more time goes on, it actually decreases the probability of an alt season happening because we have more data that there's not an all season, right? The all season was only one time in a thing. But this is a pretty important post that I don't think a lot of people are realizing here. It's very, I should fucking repost this, man. But like, it's very, very important because people expect that. And what I suggest for a lot of people going forward in crypto in the next couple of years is that you just stack majors, like Bitcoin primarily, and all the altcoins. Altcoins are good to trade. Like I used to be in this camp where I thought, oh, altcoins are the future. They're gonna 100x. I'm gonna long term. Like I'm calculating my money on the fucking meme coins and shit. I'm like, yeah, if this meme coin goes up 100x, I'll have like $1 million fucking dollars or some shit. And I'm like afterwards in hindsight, I'm like, dude, is that really the case? And I don't know. I'm just kind of bearish on that whole idea. Like super long term, the way is just to stack Bitcoin and then you trade the altcoins when they have their little mini pumps and dumps, because they aren't going to be like going down forever. I mean, their overall smooth down trend will be to eventually zero, but there's going to be little bursts of volatility that you can play. Like if you look at Pepe, right? Pepe is a meme coin on Ethereum. Pepe likes to do nothing for a long time and then huge bursts of momentum. And these are really, really great to trade. But like this is not really the best thing you want to invest in, right? This is an inherently a non-stationary asset. It just goes mean reverting for its whole fucking life, basically. And that's pretty much all I'm saying in this video, honestly. That's kind of a rant on the Bitcoins. But my current market bias is that we'll chop for August. I've been saying this for the last few videos. I think short term, like super short term, next few days, there will be a bounce on Bitcoin especially. And maybe it'll also follow. I don't think they will pump as hard. Like they might, like a little bit, but Bitcoin is going to be the highest mover. And we'll probably see a bit of a squeeze higher and then a pretty choppy next couple weeks. It's not going to be that exciting. It's going to be low volatility as fuck. I'm expecting something like this in the post-Trump election area where we had this little mini bear market. I'm expecting something like that, but I don't think it's going to last past August. It's probably just going to be for August, like a really choppy August, and then it's going to form a base for higher. So that's my current market bias, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Check out the links below. Take care.